Now I want to start off by saying one thing. The biggest issue for me in Assassin's Creed Odyssey isn't that it's an RPG. I actually think the RPG aspects can be really dope and they fit the game pretty well. The big problem for me is that the developers think that if they want to change something, they also have to remove something, which isn't really true. I feel like in a lot of ways they lost the classic Assassin's Creed feel that so many people love. Seems like Valhalla will try to get some of that feel back, but I don't think it will be enough. The game isn't released yet, so I can't really be sure if it's true, but from some of the gameplay I've seen and some new features, and also the incredibly good music score, I think this game might be pretty good. I know some people will not agree with me because it's kind of trendy to hate on Assassin's Creed, and that is totally fine. I still believe that if they made a game similar to Assassin's Creed Unity or Syndicate, but improved on some of their issues, like the glitches and maybe improve the story, I think they would have the perfect AC game. I feel like the parkour is still the best in Unity, and I really wish they didn't remove that parkour system in the newer RPG focused games. The parkour used a lot of dope animations which could be a little clunky sometimes, but for the most part it felt great. I also think the combat was pretty nice. They just had to make it a little more challenging in my opinion. But instead of improving on these issues, they decided to make AC an RPG instead, which I'm actually fine with if they didn't remove a lot of the great old features. I think Assassin's Creed Origins was a good game. The combat was pretty nice, the story was good, the soundtrack was fantastic, and graphics were really good. But I really missed some things from stealth, like the big variation in animations when you do an assassination, and how the games wanted you to be a stealthy assassin. But now we cannot even assassinate every enemy with one hit, which is just so fucking stupid. And of course, the parkour was a lot better than just a simple hold one button parkour in Origins and Odyssey. Sadly, Valhalla doesn't seem to improve on the parkour system at all. It looks like it might even be a little slower, but Valhalla does improve on some other things, which I will talk about in this video. And of course, I will talk about what it doesn't change from Odyssey or Origins too. So let's just begin. The gameplay in Valhalla looks pretty solid, but there have been some issues with it so far, from the hands-on that people had a while ago. It seems like Valhalla is essentially just Odyssey with some added features, which I don't think necessarily has to be a bad thing. Underneath all the bullshit that Odyssey had, it was actually a pretty solid game in my opinion. But the game got a lot of shit because there were no one-hit assassinations, the combat didn't have that much impact, the game had bullshit microtransactions which don't belong in a single-player game at all, and the game was way too fucking long. It was also filled with a bunch of level gating bullshit, and at the end of the day, it wasn't even about the assassins, and didn't have an assassin feel whatsoever. This ruined an otherwise alright game. This is where Valhalla comes in. One-hit assassinations are back, but some have a little timing minigame, but those seem to mainly be for the really powerful enemies. The game also seems to have more impact, but I'm not sure how much impact there is, since I haven't played it, but I think it looks quite good. The developers also confirmed that it will be shorter and smaller than Odyssey, which is a very good thing, since Odyssey dragged on for way too long. So it seems like Ubisoft have listened to some of the feedback, which is a really good sign. Social stealth is back, so you can hide in plain sight, which is a classic assassin move. You have a cloak and can put on a hood at any time, and these are all really good things that make me trust the developers even more, because it seems like they are actually listening to some of the feedback. You will be able to do a lot of other things outside of combat, like fishing, stacking rocks, doing fleeting competitions, which is essentially a Viking rap battle. You can have a drinking competition or just simply go hunting. I'm sure there are more than these, but you'll have to find them out yourself in the game. The combat looks very crunchy, and this is the first AC game with actual dismemberment. It seems to be a lot more brutal and bloody now, which I think is dope and fits very well in a Viking game. There are a lot of weapons, just like in the other games, and you can even dual wield. This is a dope new feature and allows for many weird weapon combinations, even 2 shields. Doesn't make much sense, but why not? The skill tree is improved with a shit ton of abilities for you to unlock. My personal favorite that I have seen so far is the axe throwing ability. It looks so dope. There are minor and major skills and perks to unlock. Some will give you new abilities, and some will just change stats and increase damage. The stealth parts look pretty much the same as Odyssey or Origins, which is disappointing, but at least you have your good old hidden blade back in this game, even though it's put on in a weird way. And there is a new skill, so when you assassinate someone, you can chain your assassination with an axe throw. The camera even follows the axe, and it looks incredibly dope. This all sounds really dope, but there are things we don't know if they will improve or not. The game mainly seems like a darker, more brutal, and just an improved version of Odyssey. But one big feature is actually new and has nothing to do with Odyssey, and this new feature are the settlements. You get your own Viking settlement that you have to take care of and grow during the game. This is really integral to the story and the game itself. Stories will start and they will end in your settlements. There are weddings to attend to and alliances to make. Your settlement will be filled with big decisions to make. You play as Eivor, a male or female Viking warrior, and you will lead your clan from icy Norway to a new home in the lush farmlands of 9th century England. Take care of your settlement and conquer this hostile land by any means to earn a place in Valhalla. England during the age of the Vikings is a fractured land of petty lords and warring kingdoms. This game is also a full-on RPG and you make your own decisions. Every decision has consequences, so you must choose wisely. If you spare someone, they might come back later and kill someone you care about, or maybe they become your ally. You can go on a lot of epic raids in Valhalla with your crew of raiders. The developers said that they want the game to be quite historically accurate, and most of the games have been quite accurate in the setting with buildings, clothes, weapons and things like that. They closely followed sagas and myths, so it could be quite accurate. But the Vikings didn't really have that much information behind for us to check out. And yeah, it seems like it will be quite accurate, except for, well, all the fancy elements that they added later on in the games. This game will truly be your own epic Viking adventure, and I cannot wait to try it for myself. The soundtrack deserves to be talked about a lot more than it is right now. Why, may you ask? Well, simply because it will be truly fantastic. The composers for this soundtrack are Jesper Kyd, sorry if I fucked up that pronunciation, and he made the soundtrack for Assassin's Creed 1 and the Ezio trilogy, and they all have iconic ass soundtracks. He even made the most iconic Assassin's Creed theme, Ezio's Family. We also have Sarah Schachner. Why did these people have to have such difficult names to pronounce? And she was the composer for Assassin's Creed Origins, which I also think has a great soundtrack. Joining these veterans from the Assassin's Creed series will be Norwegian musician Einar Selvik, who will create original songs for the soundtrack. Einar Selvik is known for working on some songs for the show Vikings, and those songs are truly fantastic. This is incredibly promising, and it's such a good mix of talents. I'm sure the soundtrack they made will be truly magnificent. The world and atmosphere in this game is fucking dope so far. It looks like you will feel like you really are a Viking, and I also heard that music will be playing more in the background, which will improve the atmosphere even more. I hope the world is filled with a lot of animals too. Overall, I think the world looks so dope and one of the best things in the game so far. Alright, that's all the Assassin's Creed Valhalla information my brain can handle this time. There is more information out there, and I might have enough for a second video if you guys would want that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla does not change much from Odyssey, but I do like the few changes they are making. The Viking theme does not seem fitting for an AC game, but I think they can definitely make it work. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to like the gameplay, and I'm very disappointed that they are not changing parkour at all. At least it looks like they are making the combat better, which I think is appreciated. But in the end, if you didn't like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you most likely won't like Valhalla either. I'm optimistic for this game, but at best it will just be a better AC Odyssey. Let's just hope they fix the facial animations in Valhalla before launch, because they are horrific. I'm still hoping that the next Assassin's Creed will make a big leap, like the leap between Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Unity. Or well, Assassin's Creed Rogue, of course. The difference in graphics and animations were insane, and I truly hope they go back to the way of Assassin's Creed again. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and maybe even comment. If you want more similar content, I would appreciate it if you subscribed. And if you disliked the video, please tell me how to improve so I can make better content in the future. And as always, have a good day and goodbye.
I can see all of it. Blood and flame. Loyalty and family. Betrayal. Hunger. There is a war within you. and glory will not be enough.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla, available November 17th.